Good evening. Today is Monday, May 4th, 2026, and welcome to the Fraser City Council Budget Workshop Special Meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baranski is absent. Councilmember Fletcher.
Present.
Councilmember Higgins. Mayor Lesich.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Odell. Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Shornack. That is a quorum, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Shornack.
I would like to make a motion to excuse Ms. Balanski.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Shornack, second by Mayor Lesich to excuse Member Baranski from tonight's meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The member is excused. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Odell, seconded by Councilmember Shornack to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda is approved. Item number 5, citizen participation on agenda items. The only agenda item tonight is the fiscal year 26-27 budget. Is there any member of the audience that would like to speak on this at this time? Seeing none, we will now move on to item number 6, returning business, and we will have City Manager Levin take it from here.
Thank you. And thank you, all of you, for being here. Putting this meeting together certainly has been a trial, so thank you all for that. So as I have previously mentioned, one of the things that we're dealing with is a deadline for the charter approval for our budget, which is Monday, May 18th. Our next regular meeting is Thursday, May 14th, which we hopefully tonight will be able to work towards some consensus on some of the budget numbers so that we can potentially make any changes and have a council draft for the March 14th meeting. Hopefully for approval. If it does not get approved at that meeting, then we will need to try to schedule something by the 18th. If we do not, I think we've talked about this in the past, there is no true penalty. It's just a city rule. So there's no state or federal penalty if we do not get it passed by the 18th. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. So there are 4 things in particular that I would like for us to discuss tonight. That would be taking a look at the capital expenditure recommendations and discussing those. Discussing some options for the storm sewer. I did provide a memo that details some ideas from Mike Bigneron regarding potential options that we have regarding that. If you recall, that was the $4 million storm sewer project that we talked about at the last budget session. We also need to discuss the millage rates and then also the wages. At the last meeting, you were provided with a booklet regarding non-union wage data and hopefully have had some time to review those. We certainly have the department heads here to help answer any questions along the way. And then also as part of the wages, we also should probably have some discussion about those other new positions. Other than that, I have provided some copies of the pertinent information for tonight for discussion purposes. As I mentioned, the first one would be the capital expenditures. Just to be clear, there were a number of things talked about by the department heads for their capital requests. Not all of those made it into the recommended budget. If you notice in the recommended budget under the capital items, there are 2 columns, one that is the requested budget and then the recommended budget. Not all of the line items carry over from one to the other. They are itemized in the budget. The summary sheet that I provided is everything that is included in the budget. I guess I will leave it up to you and for discussion if there's anything that you have particular issues with or you would like to see added back into the considered budget for council. Thank you.
So we're starting with capital?
Right.
Okay. Are we talking about stormwater yet, or is that a different topic?
Nope, we're separating that one out.
Okay, because that's part of the capital improvement.
Correct.
so.
So the summary spreadsheet that I provided does have it separated out between general fund and all of the other funds. Correct, yep. Which has a general fund subtotal of $930,000 of capital investment.
So can we just go through with these each one by one? And because some of them, like the City Hall HVAC final payment is not it's not debatable. So can you just go through and kind of give us an overview of each one real quick? New election equipment is pretty simple. You talked about that.
Right.
And we're hoping that the state will
Yes, we're
reimburse
hoping there
us.
is HAVA money for that. We're expecting HAVA money, but they tell us not to expect it.
I understand.
Yeah, it's required.
Yeah, it's required, yeah.
Yes, okay, so it's a required thing.
Yeah.
All right, elevator upgrades.
So the elevators, they need to be upgraded to new standards. This is something that's going to be required eventually by, I think it's the federal government. It Probably be put off a year. But eventually it will
What
be.
elevator are we talking about for?
So there's one elevator here that's over in the public safety side, and that gets up to the fire and attic space. And then later in one of the other funds, we also have the elevator upgrades for senior housing, and there are two elevators over there.
Because that's self-funding, that's a done deal. I
Yeah,
just wanna
yeah.
know, besides the one
Yeah,
here.
we're speaking of general fund only.
Yeah.
Is there no elevator here on this side?
Not on this side, no, just stairs.
So this elevator upgrade is required, and if we wait a year, it's going to cost $25,000, not $20,000.
There is certainly,
There is certainly a chance that it will get more expensive in the future.
yes.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I might as well.
It will be required within a reasonable amount of time.
Yep.
Within my lifetime, it'll be required. So I don't have a problem with doing that and avoiding future price increases. That's the main thing is,
So on the gym floor, jumping ahead really quick, can't that be paid for out of CBGB funds? The recoding?
no.
I'm not sure about that. We definitely are past the funding opportunities for the next fiscal year. It's just something that is on a recommended maintenance schedule. And with that being maintenance, I don't know if CDBG covers maintenance. I think it's primarily capital.
City Hall emergency generator replacement. Is that replacing the entire generator? And that can be done for $72,000?
Rob, can you help with that question?
Yeah, just trying to get an idea. That actually seems low for an emergency generator.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
It's not working?
You might have to give him your mic.
Good evening, Mayor.
Now we can hear you. There you go.
That quote is, the budget number is to completely replace, the generator. It also has some redundancy into it to put a wall pack in to plug in one of ours, great big generators, because this is the command center in case there's any emergency, even though they have alternate plans to locate to other communities. But, so it's to replace the complete generator, put a wall jack in, and it's also designed to set up our SCADA system so we can remotely monitor startups and oil temperature, oil pressure, oil temperature, and so forth.
Can you explain what SCADA is real quick for the new folks?
What's the acronym, Mayor?
We don't know.
It is a monitoring system that's hooked up to all of our pumps, our PRVs, different buildings for pressure, but it's a live view of what pumps are on, what the water level is in our pumps, and there is a feature where you can tie it into a generator, so we would have alerts if there's an issue with the generator, and we have alerts if a pump is malfunctioning and so forth.
Okay. So it's a way to keep track of things if the power goes out and,
Yes.
Why is it need to be replaced at this time? Is the old one just past its useful life? Is it?
The second to last power outage, we've had common failures with that generator. I would suggest it's more than 25 years old. Yeah. Easily more than. Yeah, it's whatever year the building was built, which is whatever, and it's just a critical piece of infrastructure that's aging, and we need a dependable piece of equipment there.
and that would run the whole building or run public safety and,
There is a circuits that are set up now, so we would mimic what that is, which is some limited plugs and lighting at City Hall and critical infrastructure over at Public Safety.
I know we tried to resurrect that a couple years ago when Mr. Ragsdale was here. You tried to do maintenance on it, it just wasn't, it's just beyond repair.
Yes.
Any questions on that, folks? All right. Banner and bracket replacement?
So I believe I requested $5,000 in there. We're finding we've been replacing the brackets as we're going along, but we do need to invest in additional brackets. The new banners aren't fitting tight in there, and we're going back and hooking them back up. So we'd like to purchase brackets and whatever we can with leftover on any additional banners.
We have to have something welcoming people.
Go ahead, Councilmember Higgins.
How many do you get for $5,000? Is it a lot? It's like replacing all the banners, or is it just one?
It'd be in addition to what we have, and I don't know right now. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's not all of them.
But
No, it's
more
not
than
all
one.
of it.
But it's more than one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard Supervisor Gregory said about 10 or 15 banners.
Okay, that makes more sense. That was like $5,000 for one banner. Sounds.
Yes. That'd be a big banner.
Yes.
Okay. Replace enclosed grass trailer, E13. That's coming out of Building and Grounds, I think.
Yes.
Okay. That's just what is a grass? That's the grass trailer that carries lawnmowers?
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't carry grass.
Oh, it's grass mowing trailer. Thank you.
And what's wrong with the one we have?
Again, it's aging, and in my opinion, I mean, the exterior of it looks bad, and wasn't quite prepared to have I have a capital improvement for our vehicles, which has all the age and items that are wrong with it, but
Wearing out.
I could say that easily.
Okay. City HVAC payment, that's a required payment period, right?
Yes.
Is that the last of the last of the last payments? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
to that contract.
I don't like that word.
To that contract.
Okay, that's, replace oldest motorcycle, that was the 2006, I think it was. 2006 Harley Davidson. The Linden Pump Station, okay, Councilmember Fletcher.
I was just wondering, how many people actually ride motorcycle too? I'm just curious anymore. I haven't seen a lot of the cops out anymore.
Sure.
So no, it's okay.
That's why we're here.
I happen to see you back there.
Officer Honowski is the one who drives it more frequently than others. He works the day shift, but Sergeant Nagel, our SRO, Alex McCown, is also motorcycle ready to go. He's been in the schools, but he's about to rotate out. He'll be back on the road. And then there are several other officers who have expressed interest in being trained
And how many do we have now?
too.
Okay.
And I think they're 2006 or so. They're about 20 years old.
Yes.
All right. Janice, your question? Okay. Linden Pump Station abandonment, that's the big one in this list. We talk a little bit about that and where we stand and,
So as everybody's keenly aware is that we discovered that the stormwater that was flowing to the Linden Pump Station and ultimately into the Sweeney Creek, the leads were running underneath homes and backyards and pools. Ultimately, we dug in, I think it was as far back as Erin Township in the early 1900s when it was first platted. Fraser Avenue was going to be a great big boulevard cutting right through the city, and they had some plats in there with rear 120 foot right away in there with utilities running in back of buildings and in alleys and so forth. And then somewhere in the growth of the city, homes were built on top of some of that infrastructure when it got replatted.
okay. And so this project pulls out the pump station or lift station and then replaces all and reroutes all of that storm sewer away from and out from under these.
Right. They're going to grout and fill all those pipes that are running underneath the homes, put additional pipes in, and ultimately we can make it to the drain on gravity-fed sewers.
So no electric, no pumps, no maintenance.
No, and we'll lose one pump station and one major maintenance item.
And I know we have requested through John James, Alyssa Slotkin, and Gary Peters for, what, $360,000 in a congressional directed spending earmark.
That's what we're hoping for, but I'm sure you're aware those earmarks probably will not be awarded until their budget year in September, October.
Which is
so we have the
September,
full amount
October.
budgeted.
I guess my question on this was, when would you plan on doing this? Would this be a spring 2027 project where we're waiting for this money, potential money from the federal government?
I would suspect that this would be a late summer project, and, you know, I'd like to proceed with this as fast as we can because just don't want anything bad to happen with them pipes running underneath homes.
Well, it's something that needs to be done.
Yes.
At some point, these pipes will fail, correct? And we have one sewer lateral that is, sanitary lateral that's going in.
Yeah, in the process of the investigation, we discovered more than one sanitary sewer lead that was connected to the storm, which, as you can imagine what that is, it's sanitary going into a storm.
Well, it's poop water going into the storm sewer. Let's just call it what it is. So, I'm using technical terms. But, you know, sometimes we need to just say it what it is. It's raw sewage going into our storm sewers, which is something, it's not a lot, but it's something we don't want.
Absolutely.
And it's not because of an overflow. It's not like a CSO. It's like going directly into that.
Yes,
So it's
it's
worse
not
than
partially treated, it is going right into that.
I think the public is well aware of like the work everybody in Macomb County.
All the neighbors
address
know,
CSOs.
and they've been very cooperative, letting us in their house and in their backyards and moving forward with the investigation.
And then Linden also is where you're looking at doing a water main repair because.
Correct.
So that street's really old and all the infrastructure is
Correct.
really old.
And including the pavement, because of the large amount of water main breaks in there, it's a mess.
Will this closing these storm sewers and these pipes, will that overload the other systems though that are already in really bad? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
put more pressure on there. Is that gonna?
AEW, which I have high faith and confidence in, and they're my ace in a hole here all the time, but they did the hydraulic calculations, and we do have the flow capacity.
And by the way, we all know where this pump station is. It's next to the Dairy Maid. It's that outhouse-looking building next to the Dairy Maid. So that would disappear. That
Yes.
would be removed and abandoned.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any questions about the Linden Pump Station project?
Maybe we can put a better exit for Dairy Maid there, that'd be great.
That's a different matter. Any questions about this particular project, though? Okay. Stephens Park improvements, what can you tell us about those to remind us?
So right there, again, as we done in previous years, it's just a placeholder in case there's some desire to do something within the near future. There is no definite plans for capital improvement. It's just a budget number to have in place.
But there is, because we're doing ball diamond.
That's,
Yes, that's this year's budget, and we're hoping to get it all,
I thought that was partially last year.
hoping to get it all completed this year, so.
yeah, so there's no plans for spending this money. It's a budget placeholder. Should a project come that we want to do, there's
Yeah.
money budgeted
Yes.
for up to 100,000.
And we should have an idea from the surveys and stuff coming out later in the year, so there might be something that comes about that, but it's good to have that placeholder.
Well, that's one thing I was just gonna say. I noticed actually a post recently on Facebook that was like on a day trip from Fraser, and it was of Fort Fraser, and like how excited people were for that. So I know we were kind of leaning towards going for newer things, but that might be an idea to more. We're thinking towards preserving that. We might want to go, okay, let's do more sooner. So if we're gonna work with something, just something to think about and throw around down the line, you know, not anything official, but it sounds like people are pretty vocal about wanting that to stay and maintain. So,
It'll be good to see what the results
Yep.
bear, so we have a direction, but it's good to have that money set aside.
It's worth noting, while we're talking about Stephens, the survey's been closed, and believe it or not, we have probably around 450 responses, which is a good number. It doesn't sound promising, but we're going to meet coming up in the future and go over the results, so.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think the rec plan had about 60 responses, so that's 9.
Yeah. In perspective, it doesn't seem that good, but it is a really good.
Good start. So, all right, so that's general fund. Is there any other questions about the general fund capital improvements? Going once? We can always loop back if you have a question, but let's keep going then. Major streets. Concrete repair.
That's our
Okay, Councilmember Shornack.
Well, two things. One, because this is a budget meeting, it just seems tedious to have to keep pushing your button to have conversation, because I don't think we're gonna talk over each other. So I think this should be an open dialogue, that's number one. But number two, when it comes to, because I know we had plans of doing Elodie, Cyril, and Vernetta and Schoolcraft this year, and I know that it came in exponentially higher than we expected. I think we need to make a decision on what we were provided by our engineers of what we want to do.
Is your mic on?
Probably not. Okay, so I think we should, what we've been provided by AEW, I think we should decide what we want to do with that. And I will tell you, I am not a proponent of keep pushing this off, but of course, we can't afford to do all of them at once. So I think we're just going to have to, check it off one a year. But we have to do it right the first time, because this city in the past has had a habit of wasting money, and I'm not a big proponent of continuing to do that. I say we fix one at a time and fix it correctly, with all the sewer and everything like that, and then just keep moving forward and just checking one off every year, because I don't know a better option than that at this time. Because I don't see us going out for another bond. I don't see the residents who already feel overtaxed saying, hey, yeah, absolutely, let me go ahead and pay you more money. So I think we have to come with the best thing we can do right now is at least move forward. And I'm sure they're not going to go back to doing ditches, because I wouldn't want to ditch there either. So.
Okay, do you want to talk about that as part of the storm sewer conversation? Because that is, I agree, it's a very important thing, but it's all tied with water main,
is.
storm sewer, and roads. Would you like to hold that, put a pin in that, and is that okay with you, Councilmember Shornack?
Well, I guess maybe we should have moved these around then. I just like things to flow. I don't want to jump around everything. We seem to do that a lot. Instead of things flowing, like one thing leads into the other when it's kind of like has different moving pieces. It should just be, okay, well, this is going to be under here and here, so let's put that as the last thing before we do the next thing kind of thing, so.
I think this is a big one, and that if we can move that to the conversation about water main, storm sewer, and roads, then we can have a whole conversation about it.
That's fine.
Definitely, I think that, I would like to focus that one. The other ones, I agree with you. I want to keep flowing on these other things we're talking about.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, because we can check, like, we don't even have to discuss the roads for the industrial park. That's a done deal.
Correct. So let's
I'm like,
get done
you
with
know,
this list, and we'll
yes.
come back to that, and I hate that term. Yes, but we will
What?
come back, circle back. We will come back to that and focus on that when we have the discussion about storm.
Very good.
Okay. Industrial park is happening. That's good. And what is this? Trailer mounted, what? Leaf or hood vent. Okay, that's.
We already discussed that.
That's fairly simple. HVAC and all these senior housing improvements are all paid for through the enterprise fund. And we have the cash to do these this year.
Yes.
Okay, the finance person's back there. Do we have the cash to do all these improvements in the next budget year? Okay, okay,
I'm like, per your numbers,
all right. If you believe these things are necessary improvements, and replace exterior sidings, critical to do at $400,000.
Critical's a tough word, but the siding's faded, there's several pieces missing, and it's just really not looking that good. And if we tried patching it, it probably, with the piece here or there, would not look good. It's my recommendation, and Kelly, myself, and Joe, we met about the capital improvements we should do there, and this was a higher priority.
Okay. Just because we talked about generators, the 150,000, that will run the whole building? Or at least critical?
That needs an explanation. It's very complicated. I don't know if you guys, the council remembers that we've had this budgeted probably for 3 years now. It's going to take a lot of effort to get this off, because it's a unique situation where DTE will not let you power on or connect generator power on their side of a meter. And when it goes into the building, it goes into 75 separate meters, and it becomes logistically next to impossible to put generator feeds and wire in 75 different meters. We've had some preliminary discussions with DTE, but we are going to need them to ultimately make some concessions in their policy to make a reasonable solution work. So we're still working on it. The 150,000 has some contingencies on there of if it happens, we have first priority of, who's the electrical contractor? Spectron. We would have first dibs at running their whole building generators, and it would connect to a tap box and so forth. But right now, that is one of the solutions that might take a lot of effort to get off.
So in order to do that, in order to move that forward, we have to approve that we're going to do this. And we don't have a generator at that building at the present time.
Correct.
Okay. I'm good with this. I just want to understand what
Yeah. So
the scope is. All right. Elevator upgrades, are these similar to the upgrades for the public
Yes.
safety? Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. Senior housing, all set? Any? Water upgrades based on utility rate plan. Can you tell me what streets we're doing?
that's very similar to, one of them is not, I have it right in front of me though, but it's Schoolcraft and Elodie, and Linden and Bernetta. I think Searles had already been done. Yeah, maybe 15 years ago or so, but it's newer.
All right. And that's covered by the Water and Sewer Fund?
Correct.
All right. And then upgrades based on the sewer, that's what are we upgrading? I thought we had more in there for, so we had about 500,000 in sewer budget for regular maintenance.
So every year, we usually budget $500,000 for sanitary sewer. And then I think it's every 4 years, we spend a portion of it, which is like close to $300,000 to videotape and inspect it, which is following best practices to videotape and inspect our sanitary sewers once every 5 years. Well, we have the off years, we're spending all that money on lining sewers where that's good news for Fraser is our sanitary sewers are in good enough condition to be lined, and we're getting ahead of it.
Okay. Any questions about water or sewer? Motor pool, and that's 2026 4x4 truck. You're replacing a 2016 Ram. Is that 2016 Ram two-wheel drive? Yeah. Okay, that's one we bought when we had zero money.
Yes.
We did. We made some tough choices back then. And so this would be snow as well?
What that would do is open up that vehicle to be multifunctional, to be able to plow, have the capability of plowing snow, and also be a utility vehicle for whatever we're doing in the off months.
Okay. And then the Sterling 5-yard dump with loader. I thought we bought a bunch of dump trucks. Were those 10-yard?
Those were last year.
Yeah.
We got rid of one of our 3-yard dumps and didn't replace. That was one of the ones. We got rid of 2 of them and didn't replace those. We just bought new pickup trucks because we really didn't need those trucks.
Didn't we buy some dump trucks
We bought.
2 or 3 years ago then?
I don't know how long ago you might have bought. Did we buy dump trucks? I don't.
About one.
We did buy one about 3 years ago, one new 3-yard dump truck.
Okay. All right. And then this replaces we can't get more than 25 years out of a dump truck?
Yeah, and the one we're looking to get rid of is the 2000 5-yard dump truck.
Okay. All right, so if we take out the industrial park roads and the water upgrades, we have 14 million, we take out 10 million 5 right out of the bat, so, right off the bat. So we're talking about 4 million, about $4 million. And then of that, 4, 6, another million of that is senior. And then, so our big ticket items are the pump station abandonment, the new dump truck, new 4x4, and then the concrete, the roads that we're going to talk about in a minute. So, okay. Anyone have anything they'd like removed from this, or are you okay with this? Because they're looking for consensus tonight on whether this looks like they can put this in the final plan.
I think that everything looks reasonable this year.
Yep.
We're not asking for more than, I think, mostly necessary, so I'm okay with everything listed here on my end.
I am as well.
Okay. Consensus? Any? Or-
Well, we're going to talk about the roads, correct?
Yeah, the roads are going to be the
Separate.
next
So far, I
conversation.
concur.
Okay, so on these things, other than the local streets that we're going to talk about in a minute, these things are generally consensus. Okay. Does that give you what you need?
Very good, thank you.
All right. So what's next?
Well, we can circle back to the stormwater issues and tie it into the street program that we're planning on for next year.
Okay.
This next budget year. Before you is a list of different options that Mike Vigoron proposed and put in front of you. none of them are really appealing to me. And I do think we are kicking the can down the road, but I understand $3.7 million is a lot.
Let's just start with what does $3.7 million get us?
That replaces all the storm on Cyril, Schoolcraft, Bernetta, and Elodie.
Okay.
So that's a complete street, right?
That is a complete street plan right there. The storm infrastructure is listed in critical condition. With that, I discussed with the city manager today and last week. It's critical that there's probably a lot of breaks in there. We're not going to get our cleaning machines through there. But we haven't done any point repairs or anything on those streets in the last year. To follow, if we followed option 6, which is to do nothing but maybe add a little more to that, is budget some amount in the off-season when we're never slow, but our Public Works team could possibly clean and camera that and make better determinations of, if we can get away with some point repairs or what we have. And mind you, the estimate provided by AW was based on the actual footage and work we did on Kingston, which is very similar to everything in the area. So on Kingston, I think we had 19 blockages that we couldn't get through. And it just seemed, we repaired a few of the major ones. Not doing, I like a complete street program, okay? And that's what we should do. But it's a lot of money. So it's really a tough spot. And I should point out a couple items that city manager and I talked about is a failure in the storm line, this corrugated metal pipe, is generally in the 2-foot deep range in front yards. And the worst catastrophic problem you can have is at a drive approach if it drops off right there, but it's not dropping more than 2 feet. I think we can hold off, maybe budget some couple $100,000 to see what we have, but I don't think it really should hold up the water main and street improvement repair. I'm used to doing complete streets. That's the way we should do it. But if you remember that screen with all the yellow I had on there, this is a sample of 4 streets where we have probably 40 or 50, and we do not have 120 million or whatever it ends up, It's not feasible. Further, when we did budget money to start doing investigations and having a professional company and inspect the storm sewers, the great big reinforced concrete pipe up in French Creek and Meadow subdivision there. That is, and as I explained to you at the last meeting, that is reinforced concrete pipe put in most likely in the 90s. That's a superior product that should be in good shape. But don't even say when, if we do this inspection and we see something, this is running within the influence of basements and the front of houses and garages. We will need funding to make an immediate repair if we discover something, we go through this investigation.
I have a question. You said the 3.7 million, that's just for storm, that's not redoing the road?
Nope, that was just the storm cost.
Lines.
Yes.
How much for roads?
I think we're back to that 1.5. Is this screen available? Is somebody here? Oh, no. I don't have an HDMI.
Is that laptop from the 90s? That's amazing.
So this is page five of my slideshow presentation a couple weeks ago. And it gives a breakdown when AEW put the professional engineering together to start designing this work. The street budget was about, if you could see that there, is 1.7. The storm sewer budget is 3.7. And the water main budget's just over $1 million.
Water main budget was how much?
For all, I'm sorry,
Yeah, that,
So altogether,
water main budget was just at 1.7 million.
1.7 million for water main. I think that's,
but altogether, roughly 6.6 million to do everything right, correct?
6.6.
Bottom right.
So I have 3.7 for storm, 1.5 for roads. That's 5.2, and then 1.7 for water mains.
Closer to 1.8 for, I'm sorry, you're right, water.
Okay, so that is actually almost 7 million.
And that's only for those 4 streets.
Correct.
They're pretty long streets, Evan.
Yes.
Well, 2 of them are.
Well, Cyril,
I know, that's, Cyril and Elodie are the longest.
Schoolcraft's the shorter one.
7 million total.
So is Renetta's.
Which,
But I can tell you the state,
That's
don't need a survey. I can tell you by the way my toilet bubbles when it rains that the systems are not good.
Water, 1.8 for water. Storm, and this is key. Storm sewer is paid for through general fund dollars. It's not paid for through the water and sewer fund.
or local or major streets.
Yeah, or local and major streets. So the sanitary sewer is paid for through the water and sewer fund,
Correct.
because that's water that we buy and we put back into the sewer system. Stormwater is rain. That's general fund, yes. So, okay.
How long is the corrugated, or the existing piping, when was that put in originally? That's,
So I think it was, I'm guessing that originally they had ditches in front of the homes. There was, I've heard secondhand that property owners bought corrugated metal pipe from the Public Works and put the material in. So I think it's a staggered date, but probably close to when most of the homes were built in that area, probably 1950s or so.
so I know ideally, the cement, like the option here is the preferred way, but has it come since the 1950s, is the material of corrugated metal, has that come a long ways since then? Or is, what I'm saying is, it's not ideal, but would we be able to, I'm just looking at options here. Would we be able to use a similar but better product at a much lower rate than doing it the cement way? I'm just,
Don't they sell heavy-duty plastic corrugated for storm?
So that's what they spec'd out, and a lot of the pipe specs, particularly under the driveways, the depth of bury is the the lower the depth of bury, the more influence that the vehicle has on the pipe, and the higher the strength you need of pipe. And they spec'd out a product that would be, have a low 2 to 3 foot depth of bury.
Which means you'd bury it 2 feet below the road or be
Yes,
below-
underneath the drive approaches, sometimes a crossing in the street.
I mean, it's not what I want to do, but I mean, is that an option that would, I mean, do we have a rough idea how much lower that would be to?
I do not. I do have a solution similar to what we did with the water main projects last year. We didn't have our water model numbers in, and city manager put a cap on the budget number, and then when it was presented, knowing the facts of the fund balance and having everything designed, and we had a lot of facts at the same time. This is going to be a hard one to do for 3.7 million, but it would be put in front of city council with options, with necessary budget amendment, and maybe a mix of fixes.
A mix of fixes. Sounds like more work and not,
It's going to take time in engineering just to find out what's going on out there. And as Councilmember Perry said, is, you know, how much would it be for just to replace it with a, lack for a better term, an inferior corrugated metal pipe again, or go PVC all the way, or maybe our public works team could try to get through there and cross our fingers and hope it's just not as bad as Kingston, but it's the same age, same materials, same circumstances.
Well, this third-party company that you have cammering the sewers, couldn't they do it instead of you guys, so we could have an answer quicker than waiting to see if you guys find time to do it?
So we did budget money in to have it professionally videotaped in sewers, so I think it's $250,000, and we can take a peek into the corrugated metal pipe in this area. But I'm more anxious to see what the pipe looks like that's right next to houses up in the north part of the city too.
so for 250,000, what gets cambered at that price? The whole city or just LED Vanetta's?
Probably, if you just want to break it down, an eighth section, you know, maybe not even a quarter of the city.
Okay, because we have, what, McNamee, Grove, York, Hanover,
So basically, everything that,
Callahan, all of those have a similar stormwater management, which is culvert primarily, right? I think you had a map,
I'm going to pop that
a
up.
map up there that was rather enlightening.
So before we use a map of our corrugated metal pipe that we know that's in the ground.
Can you go to the left? I think we're missing a couple of.
That is the extent.
Well, actually, it's not.
I can zoom out.
Well, there's something to the left and there's something to the south. There you go.
well, I still stand by the fact that I don't want to keep putting Band-Aids on things.
No, I want to fix it right, and I
I
just,
live on this street, so I concur.
well, sure. The modern best practices in a city is concrete reinforced pipe, and that lasts a long time.
That is one option. This here might, I don't know what they best base their estimate off, but it might be a STR 35 polyethylene corrugated
Okay,
pipe.
but it's a modern material.
Absolutely.
Modern engineered material as opposed to galvanized pipe, which is still, you know, people still use them, but are they
And,
using them in cities?
If I may, Mayor, AW is currently putting together the last stormwater asset management plan that they put before you was in 2018, and I think it was 2018, but it should be updated every 5 years. I promise you guys that AW, when it's ready, they're going to provide you a copy so you can physically see what's ahead and what we have going. And I'm requesting AEW do a presentation on our storm system at the same time. They might give you a smaller executive copy of the stormwater asset management plan. And we expect that at the June meeting.
Okay, that'd be after we pass the budget. So that still leaves us with this hole in this budget, which is what do we do with these streets and how do we approach it?
Well,
And-
if you want to put a placeholder in it, put that money, the 1.5 million as a placeholder for now until we have AEW here with what their other options, if you will. And then we can make that decision in June, but at least if we have that money budgeted, it's there, so we can at least move the needle forward on something.
That's only for roads. So I guess,
Well, okay, I'm saying, because you wanted to move it all together, so if we're gonna take the bundle, but I'm just saying, then we just put a placeholder for at least one street amount at this point, and then decide on which street that'll be this year, because like I said, that's been the history of the city, is always kicking the can, and I don't want to be part of that, kicking the can thing, because it never works out well for anybody, and it just becomes exponentially more expensive, and, you know, I don't think all the residents are going to be down for a tax just to fix the roads.
Well, maybe not the roads, but the plumbing, there might be a little bit more.
Nah, I don't think anybody wants to pay any more taxes than they're already paying.
And I concur, but, but if it would improve their plumbing situation, that's the only positive I could see out of it.
well, last year we made hard decisions to fix the plumbing, the water mains, and we made a difficult decision which caused a price increase. So the question is, like you said, pick a street. Do we know which street's most expensive? Can you get us the numbers, what an estimate, as good as it can be for each of the streets so that we could say we can do Cyril?
Absolutely. I think
Schoolcraft or,
I wish I had more details in front of me of where they came up with their estimate there, but
Wasn't that in that chart there per street?
so right in, let's see, stormwater,
More or less.
they have LD listed at almost 800,000, Vernetta Schoolcraft at 7. Cyril is a main driver there at 1.3, and Linden at 181,000.
can you repeat those again? Linden was 181?
I'm sorry.
Linden should-
I was reading the budget. It's slightly more if you take the right column, which is estimated total cost, including the PE and the CE, which is 975 for Ality, 865 for Vernetta and Schoolcraft, 1.6 for Cyril, and 222,000 for Linden.
Wait a minute, that doesn't get me. I guess it does, okay. Numbers add up quickly, don't they? So Linden, we would be doing something beyond the pump station on Linden?
So a lot of that would coincide with the repairs at Linden Pump Station. They're going to be replacing some manholes and
Okay.
so forth in that area.
So if we're going to be doing Linden Station anyway, then we should do Linden at the same time, because I think there'll be some overlays on that. So some cost savings could happen during that time, kind of two birds, one stone.
I think while you're there, you do it.
Yeah.
If you're at 222,000 for that, that's something, you get it done and then you
It's
can
done.
leave and you're done.
Yeah.
You've got water, sewer, roads for that area.
I do like that strategy, and what's good about it is we are actually going to replace the smallest piece and see what we have and what we're in for. And we're replacing one of the worst roads in the city too.
What, Linden or?
Can you go back to the page with all the yellow streets that I'm assuming the yellow clearly means aging, or they're for sure failing?
That was culvert.
That's the storm, correct?
That's the,
This is the,
Corrugated.
this is a map of the corrugated metal pipe. So actually up here in this, going slow. Well, there's a little better, but thought I had a quote in this right from the asset management plan, but I don't. But the section on corrugated metal pipe is, it says this is all beyond its useful life. And when you put it into the BRE rating index, these all come up in the red as immediate failures, just based on the age and condition,
or already failed.
type of material, yes.
Well, my question, it was kind of, not complex, but it was multi-staged. So the yellow streets show where you have metal galvanized storm sewer, and you feel, or AEW feels, this is so old, it's going to fail, or it has failed? Or do we have, minus Kingston, where you said you had 19 breaks, do you have confirmation that those are, there's blockages and they're failing? Because the only reason I'm bringing this up, just thought about this last year, when we had that downpour in the summer, I rode my bike through Venetian Village, and they don't seem to have any issue with storm sewer, I'm gonna assume by that, because your map shows no yellow. It was 2 feet deep in some of the streets for, I don't know if anybody lives there.
Yep.
How long did it take for it to drain, George? How long did it take for it to like drain out? Like days, hours?
A few hours, maybe 4 or 5. It was definitely like it started at
Okay.
5 p.m., went until
Yeah, that was
8 or 9.
That was just the
a
whole,
tsunami.
that was the whole system.
Yeah, but I've been on these other streets too that have yellow, as mine's on yellow. My street never floods. Now, I'm not suggesting that that means the pipe is fine, but there's got to be some streets here that don't probably need fixing yet. And we can, like Patrice was saying, let's focus on what's failing right. I would do what's failing right now, what needs it immediately. And as you guys have all said, I don't want to do a Band-Aid fix. I don't think we should go through, do one of the 3 things and then come back in a year or 2 and mess it up again. So that's what I'm trying.
So you concur with what I said?
Kind of, but I think because of the cost of this, like you mentioned, 100 million for everything, let's just say, or the 7 million, we're never going to be able to pay for it. So we need to almost not wait till something fails, but we have to attack just the worst.
Well, it's like a
That's
Pazer
what
rate.
we're doing already, we're doing it by sections that are oldest, and this is the oldest
Yes,
section.
but we don't have
so-
$7 million to do those 4 roads.
Well, it's like I understand what you're saying. You're like saying Pazer
And I'm
rating.
saying, out of Cyril, Vernetta, Linden, and Elodie, are they like my street? Are one of them like my street, where we don't flood at all? Like, we had all that rain, and our yards were fine. I mean, some of our yards had a little bit of standing water, but the water moved immediately out of the street, wasn't in our ditches, and I do have like a creek that goes through our street, but we had no real issue. And then, like I said, I took a bike ride throughout half of the city, and Venetian Village was underwater. Now, again, I understand there's more homes in that area, their storm sewers were more taxed, there's more concrete, clearly. But that just, some of this doesn't sound like it's necessary right now, and especially if we don't have the money.
Is it a question of preventing flooding, or is it a question of stopping like a catastrophic failure in like somebody's front lawn, right? Like
I would say
2 foot.
it's both, and I think the Councilman Perry's point is these were sheet drained streets that went over to the side of the road and where they have, used to have ditches, but I think if you do have failures there, they're gonna, depending on the amount of failures, but the storm water is gonna raise to a certain grade and flow to the next point that might not have a failure and ultimately get out of there. You don't know. These are really old pipes, but the water ends up going somewhere. The comment on Venetia Village, one thing City of Fraser didn't do, and I'm very grateful with the recent storms we've had. One of the major items in the stormwater AMP was the Masonic pump station, which increased the capacity for, what's the two subs? Is it Venetian Village and
Venetian Woods.
Yeah,
Laurentian?
the two neighbors.
Venetian Woods. So if we didn't dredge and upgrade those pumps, I'm not crying wolf, we would have been in bad way in the last couple of storms.
Yep. So I think to your point, Councilmember Perry, is, and I think, if I'm hearing them, they want to look at the whole system, but we have to make some choices here about what we're going to do on these particular streets.
Yeah, no, I
But,
get.
yeah, I don't, replacing everything all at once and starting some
No,
giant project is
You
not
can't.
the right way.
And even these four, I don't think we can do.
Right, so that's why we should
Yes.
start with Linden. And then possibly Vernetta, depending on what those costs come in, because that's a smaller street, so it's,
Well, Renata and Schoolcraft are like one and the same, and like literally a big part, like the huge honking like issue with the road. If we're trying to do everything at once, like they literally are like one street, so it would just be silly to do half of that.
but they're already broken up as separate roads, and because of
But
the
I'm imagining the plumbing's still put together because they're literally one street. Like the way the plumbing goes around, it's one street.
well, not, in your mind, and I understand what you're saying, I've driven on it a million times, but it's not when it comes to how they go. Yes, they'll have intersecting pipes, but they're not one street. And because we're talking about not just the street itself, we're talking about the sewers, we're talking about all the plumbing and stuff like that. So the cost differential, Vernetta is so much smaller for that small little thing that goes into that I'm saying if we could get 2 done this year, definitely Linden, because we've got to do the abandonment of the station anyway. And you're going to have stuff dug up anyway. So it'd be silly not to do that.
Oh, and I agree with that, but
And
I
then-
just think that would be silly for that little portion. It's just, it's
Well, I would leave it to them and DPW.
Oh, yeah,
I know,
but-
AEW to tell
Linden-
us,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's fine, just to tell us like what that cost would be, and then just tackle the smaller ones first, because the bigger ones are gonna be hugely expensive.
Didn't Linden have all those water main breaks in it?
Yeah.
So if we alleviate that, that's gonna free up money, you know what I mean, for what we're spending Band-Aid on that thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have any issues with that street at all once it's totally redone and alleviate some of the pressure off you guys to, I think.
Free up some time.
Linden, I think Linden makes the most sense. Unless one of the other streets has had as many water main breaks and problems as Linden. I would think that would, in my mind, make the most sense, but.
So I see the problem as we've got 2 different budgets working here. One is that we've planned water main replacement on these particular streets. And then we have this other thing we'd like to do, which is stormwater and road improvements. So if we have to figure out how we're going to handle that, because rescheduling and reprioritizing these streets is not necessarily a good idea in the water mains department. We're trying to replace that. So the question is, what do you want to do with the streets while we're there? And if you want to replace the storm and that, let's say we did Elodie, Vernetta, and Schoolcraft with stormwater. Let's pick that, and not do Cyril, because we already did the water mains, and then we come back next year and do the storm sewer and.
Yeah, but isn't that, I feel like that's gonna cost us more money, because then you're just redigging up everything and
No, that's not what I was saying.
Oh.
It was actually the opposite of that, let me clarify. So if we went in and did Schoolcraft, did the water main, the storm, and the road. And then, and Vernetta, you said those 2 are connected. I don't remember all the streets. So,
And then Elodie.
and Elodie, or even just those 2, Schoolcraft and Vernetta, and we did all of that, and then did the water main on Elodie, then next year we got to come back and do something else.
But wait, are we all in agreement about Linden, though?
Lyndon, yes, I'm fine.
Okay, so let's start one street at a time. Linden's a done deal. Everybody's agreeing to that?
Yeah,
Cool? Okay, so now we're moving on to step 2. So you want to do Schoolcraft and Vernetta?
no, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that the issue is we've got to schedule a capital improvement schedule for water mains for those streets. And so the question is, how much of the other things do we want to do on these streets while we're here?
as much as
Do
possible.
we want to
Either way, the
continue?
water mains are getting done.
That's basic, essentially, we've been planning these water mains for 3 years, I think.
So do we want to
And
do
we
it
have
as
all the
well? We're doing
engineering
those
done
water
and-
mains since we're there anyways.
So,
So this is getting batted back and forth, and it has been in the past, these critical water, Kingston, the road was probably done 10 years ago, and then 2 years ago, we did the water main, and then we never did the storm. If you want to do a minimum effort, I do feel the paving and the water main, which are mostly in the influence of the pavement, where the storm is outside the influence of the pavement, we can come back and do point repairs or I don't even have a complete thought because of the lack of funds on this, but we should go forward with the water main and the paving on these streets and then decide how much storm we want to do.
Because the storm is not under the street, it's under like their lawns, right?
Yes.
okay, that's an option, water mains and streets, no storm.
Could we do water mains and streets and camera? That section? I know we talked about cameraing before, I don't want to go back, but, and just see like how immediate the need is.
We can do that, and maybe to circle back to one of my earlier recommendations, just if you could earmark $200,000 to do investigation, some with the TV cameras, or maybe some excavations and so forth, and in June, you'll have a complete picture with the stormwater asset management plan. Sometime in June, AEW have a lot of this design done and have actual numbers. These are estimates put together so we can plan and budget for this upcoming year.
Okay, when do you plan on doing the water main bids? Are they in the works?
This summer.
We're planning on doing water mains this summer.
Yep, after July 1st.
Okay.
For all of those streets.
Correct.
So that would be the summer project, would,
Correct.
okay. So the option is water mains and roads, water mains, storm, and road for a couple of streets, water mains and nothing. That's an option. So, and then I think in Linden, we're doing all three. And then the other is the camera, the inspection, and you would start with that area immediately? Would we need to add to the budget? Do that, or did you include that in your budget?
We have 250,000, and we most likely will have enough to sample some of that area to see where we're at.
And that would be done this year?
That is, if the construction would be next budget year, we might have some money in repairs and maintenance to do some preliminary investigation, or there might be some room in the PE design that AW's part of their design costs would take a look at the storm sewers a little more.
And I assume nobody wants the option number 3, get a bond or a low-interest loan? Okay. I will cross that off myself. Remove storm and reestablish ditches. Nobody's supporting that idea? Okay. Special assess residents for portions of cost. I don't see that being logic or reasonable, because at some future time, we may do it as a city, and then people would be mad. Do nothing, I think we're doing something, is maybe not everything.
It'll be 6.1 is don't plan on the replacement right now, and do some more investigation and report back, and report back to city council.
So if we said right now, we're doing the water mains, it's already been locked and loaded in the plan, and then we said we're going to wait till June to get our full report, and then we still could modify and appropriate money to do things if we chose at that time to do something.
Yes.
We would still have time to do that, or are we?
Well, right now, what sheet is that, but I think it was in February, February 3rd, you authorized AW to move forward with the design portion of all this, which was 402, grand total 402,000. So they're moving forward with all three phases right now. So if you proceed or not, you'll have a design in the books.
Ideas? Thoughts?
I would rather just put money at least as an earmark than have to do an adjustment later.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, we know we obviously want to make improvements. We're just not quite sure until we have all the data and numbers in front of us. So I think it'd be good to earmark that money. But obviously for sure going forward with Linden, because let's get her all done, as they say.
So Linden's 220. You can put that one as, I think we have consensus to get that done. And then how much money do we have in unassigned fund balance?
I think it's around 4 million.
Okay. And we don't want to spend 3.6 of that on storm sewer on these streets at this time. So, and in June, they may come back and say it's 2.5 million or 6 million.
You never know.
I never know. So if you would like to earmark some money or put some money in the budget for storms, is that what you're thinking?
Yep.
And we have 4 million in unassigned fund balance, which is money we can theoretically spend. We don't have any strings attached to it. So what's your number?
Honestly, $1 million,
Okay.
because we know it's just going to keep going up.
I would say, yeah, easy.
And to that point, I would just note that last year we budgeted 800,000 for storm sewers in this subdivision that we did not do, and it did not roll over.
Correct.
So, with that 800, I would have preferred to roll over and just get all this done for 800,000, and the 200 were $1 million. I'm good with that number.
Okay. That's,
Is that a number you guys are comfortable with putting into the budget right now for potential storm sewer repairs in this area?
Very good.
Is that a good,
That is a very
place
good
to move us
number,
forward?
and within a month or two, we'll know a lot better where we're sitting, and we can tell you that's real good. We can do some spot repairs, or it's not as bad, or we won't talk about the worst, but we'll know where we're at. And I just want to bring back to my last paragraph. It's overwhelming and financial challenging to consider this storm, but it's a mess that we got to think about.
Well, and it's all the part of asset management. And
Yep.
Joe, did you finish the course? So did I. Joe and I just took a several-week course in asset management from the Michigan Infrastructure Council. It was very enlightening. And the whole idea is, how do you plan for today, tomorrow, and beyond while fixing the mistakes of yesterday?
you hope that someday you're going to have a great beneficiary to the city who wins the major billion-dollar lotto and says, here you go, fix the crap.
Well, that's unlikely.
I know. Or somebody finds a genie in a bottle.
That's unlikely. But what they do teach you is that having a plan for the beginning, the end, and the future is very important, and looking at all levels of the road. Financing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you,
But that was a great program. I really enjoyed it.
as Councilmember Shornack stated, it's kicking the can and things, you have an asset management plan because all your assets are getting older, and it'll hit a epiphany, where,
I think we're there.
I say where you can't afford it, but we might be there.
I think we're there.
Sure, and identifying the assets we have is important so that we do, to Mr. Perry's or Councilmember Perry's point, is he doesn't know what the status of his particular street is. It may be fine, it may be working, it may be half working. But we don't know until we look, and then we inventory all the assets and we have a whole plan.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that 20 years ago. We didn't have that kind of technology that we do now.
While we're discussing this, I did pull up our GIS map where the green is the storm in this area, just showing how it works as a system. Where the blue I have turned on right now is the water mains, how they run through this system. You can click on an asset and you can see that this is a 6-inch, that's the water main, sorry. But I think Councilmember Fletcher was wondering how it worked as a system. And this might give you a little bit of the bigger picture of what it is. So you have a 12-inch storm there. We really don't have the date, but we can narrow in a lot of things, but most particularly, this will show you. Oh my gosh. How everything works as a system. So I think we have a good plan going forward. I really appreciate all the time, the thoughtfulness,
you.
and the considerations council and mayor has put
I
in.
think we'd like to fix it, and it's a matter of reality.
It is.
Thank you, Councilmember Shornack, for putting that number out there.
Hate to bring it up again, but I don't think Fraser's unique. There's crumbling infrastructure, and the United States is getting some pretty grades on not investing in their infrastructure. And the country's coming to an epiphany too and kicking the can.
Yes.
Never really works out for anybody.
Pardon me? Yes, we're going to take, are we all set with capital improvements? Is there anything else?
I think we did.
All right, thank you. I think we're going to take about a 5-minute break.
Perfect. I was going to ask.
Great. We are back. All right, I think we're, City Manager Levin, you take it away. It's your show.
All right, so the next item to talk about is the millage rates. So as you all probably know, we have 4 millage rates in the city that are set by the city. Our charter, our operating millage rate, the rubbish, ALS, and the PA 33. So the charter and the ALS are subject to the Headley reduction, and we are charging the maximum allowable with that Headley reduction. And I am carrying that over into the recommended millage rates for the next fiscal year. As far as the ALS and, the rubbish and the PA 33, the rubbish, we have a maximum allowable millage of about 2.8. We have been charging below what we are allowed to charge, maintaining it steady at 1.4. I'm recommending continuing to maintain that steady at the 1.4. We have been using quite a bit of the fund balance. I know that there has been some talk about other potential future things, like getting some new recycling bins, things like that with the funding. And then that leaves the PA 33, which I have maintained at the 1.5, which is consistent with the last year. Certainly you can see what we have in the general fund and the fund balance. We're going to be using about $1 million of fund balance. With these proposed changes for setting another $1 million for the storm sewer, we'll be using about $2 million of the fund balance, which will leave us with closer to about $3 million that is unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
So just looking for if we have consensus with those rates moving forward through the budget. We will have the millage rates on the May 14th agenda. We do need to get those passed before the June meeting because the millage rates are important to have in place so that we can get the tax bills out on time.
I'm good with the rates that are presented.
Yep. I don't see any, the fund balance is going down, and it'll go down if we take out the PA 33, we'll be under our fund cushion within 2 years if we to get rid of it. So I'm for keeping it just the way it is.
I agree.
I oppose the PA 33. I think it should be at 0.
Okay. I'm okay with it because we are spending, without the $1 million we just earmarked, we are spending $832,000 more than we are bringing in. And as our Mayor Pro Tem said, within 2 years, we will be at our 25% fund balance that we had. And then the year after that, we will be below that. So I would like, at some point in time, a 5-year. I know 5-year projections are dicey at year 5, but I would like to see something where I appreciate the projection that was done for next year, but having something to see where we dip below that 25% fund balance target. And is that year 3? Is that year 4? And it's a guess. Yeah, it's an educated guess because we use our finance director to make that. But I'd like to see that at some point in time. It's useful as a tool to see where the future is. Because we have just these projects here today, the 3.6 million? The numbers all roll together. Under the present way we're running, we will never be able to do that project by self-funding it. So that'll be a different conversation and hopefully one that gets more clarity with the stormwater asset management. But your comments are noted. What would you prefer, what would you propose otherwise? I'm just curious.
No, I've said it every year. While we have a surplus, I don't think we should be taxing the residents more with PA 33. I get what you guys are conveying and what you want to do, and you want to keep that stream level, but to me, this is unnecessary taxing while we have a surplus. And when we get to that road where we are at our minimum, that's when I think we should talk about PA 33 or other ways to either cut expenditures or increase revenue.
So,
When I got on here, we had $12 million in the account, or in the general fund, unassigned funds. I realize we've cut almost 8 million of that, but we've done some big projects, and residents could have had 3 years of zero PA 33. So that's where I was, or where
And you're in favor if we go below that 25 threshold of bumping it back up to break even?
Well, by law, I know Don's not here, but do we have to have the 25%? Because for a long time, we operated way under that, and we seem to get away with it, so.
So
It affects
what
the
was,
bonds.
yeah, what was recently done was a resolution by council to maintain the 25% as your standard. Council could change that. You'd have to pass a new resolution. By law, is there any penalty if you go below the 25%? I don't believe there is. I don't know if, Angela, you might know a little bit better about that.
But that also allows us to get lower interest rates on the market for bonds
Correct,
for future
correct. We-
big ticket items. And if we're below that and then need the money for big ticket items, it's going to cost the city a lot more.
Right, you want
credit
to
rating.
have some type of cushion for emergencies. Talking about the storm sewers tonight, if we have some type of emergency, we get into the situation and there is some type of catastrophic failure and flooding, we need to have money in the bank to be able to support something like that. So that's generally the rationale for having some type of fund balance.
I get it, and I didn't suggest we should go to zero. You guys asked me where I was, that's where.
yeah, no, I think it's a conversation that we need to keep having, because within a couple years, we will be bumping into those kind of hard decisions. And, I mean, tonight, just talking about the storms, that was a difficult conversation, because I think we'd all agree that these things need to be addressed. And maybe not everything in that neighborhood, we'll know more in June, but there are certainly other places in the community that have similar issues. And hopefully, we'll get better clarity on those. And
And my rationale besides that is people right now have adjusted to that amount, and then you take it away, so they don't have it. But then if you have to reassess that in a year or two,
It'll be a bigger hurt, I get it.
oh, major, and people will come in droves to crucify you. So I've seen it, so I mean, honestly, I won't be here at that point, but I don't want to see anybody have to deal with that, and I don't think the residents want to, especially those who are on fixed incomes, because right now, they've already budgeted that. They already know, they already are like, this is this. And yes, everybody wants some cost savings, but at the same token, I think you would see a huge amount of people say, keep it that way and fix our streets. Or fix, do this, do that, because everybody has an opinion of what they want fixed in Fraser. So with having that extra bit of fund balance, it does for the what if. And let's face it, in this light, the what if happens every day. So that's my rationale.
No, you guys don't have to explain it. I get I'm the odd man out. It'll be 6-1. I'm fine with that.
Oh, I don't
That's
think
no
so.
issue.
I think Ms. Baranski's in the same boat you are.
I'm just telling you my perspective.
Nope, and I appreciate
As
that.
we saw, if we
Healthy
take Rob,
conversation. We like
yeah,
to
if we
hear your
take Rob's
opinion,
word,
too.
if we needed to switch or fix all the storm sewers right now, which I realize you would never do, it's 120 million.
no, that's the roads. That was,
I thought.
no,
Rob said
I don't know
No,
about
that was
storm.
the- that
I
was
hope
the
it's not
sewers.
storm, but yes, it's a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of
Too
money.
much.
I would just like to say this since Anjali's here. Councilmember Perry's is right. When I got here, the fund balance was,
It was 12 plus.
and when you have cleaned up everything, I have much greater confidence in our financial position today than I did 2 years ago. If I could say more than 100%, but it is just the simple fact that we have been, if you looked at a normal community and you said, they're spending $830,000 more than they brought in, you would say, that's a problem. But because we know that we had more money than we should have, because we weren't spending along the way, but now we have this, I can ask her, are we safe with this and the other money we have in the bank, or can we run for a year? And then we can look and have reasonable conversations about it.
Yeah. Good afternoon or good evening, City Council. So the question Councilmember Perry asked about like how we get the 25%. So when I have written the policy, which was kind of approved, I have discussed with the auditor and I have looked at the best practices done by the municipalities, whatever the accounting standard come from. So it is recommended to have at least 3-month expenditure in the fund balance. So that's we do. We are taking 25% of the total annual expenditure. So I think it is not that hard and fast and like it need to be 25%, but this like, we want to keep like more conservative, keep the money there so we don't have any issue in the future. Yeah.
I do have a couple questions about revenue. So the state, where would I see this? The local community stabilization share, that looked like it has dropped off substantially. Is that?
I don't think so.
Because it went from 1.6 million, now we're budgeting 900,000. That's
So we receive the funding 2 times in a year, but second, like we do the budget only the first installment come around 1 million or 900,000 something. But the second installment come in the May, which will be coming pretty soon. So we don't put the budget until we get that money. So that's kind of it. That's why it's not showing. It will come.
So
Most probably.
Well,
so
maybe.
you're saying
I mean,
it's not
this year.
guaranteed, but it's
Yeah.
but honestly, even though you can't say it till you get both, it could be closer to 1.8 or
Yes.
1.7 to 1.8 in that range is what we should see, but we can't.
Yes.
What you're saying is we're not budgeting.
So yeah, we are not budgeted for this year, 25, 26. You don't see that one, the second installment. We did not budget for next year, 2026, 27.
Okay.
So we did not put that amount because it's probable we will get the money, but not surety.
Okay, but for sure 900,000 we're getting. That's
So yeah, 900 we usually receive the first one.
okay. Okay. And then state revenue sharing, we're expecting it to go down a little bit.
Yes, it is just, we receive the estimate, so it's based on how the money is coming, but yeah, a little bit down.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to address the local community stabilization authority money. So that's broken up into 2 payments.
Yes,
October
October and May.
and May. The October and that is the result of the personal property tax elimination bill from 2014. So what happened when the state eliminated a lot of personal property taxes, communities like ours said, you're taking away a bunch of our money. They came up with a fund called the Local Community Stabilization, LCSA fund, to pay communities based on their millages. So if you have a millage, you're eligible for this money if you have personal property in your community, which we do with our industrial park, is a big driver of that. So in October, we get what's called the essential services payment. So we get money for police and fire operating, general city operating. We don't get PA 33 is not included. Rubbish is city operating, and then advanced life support, the ALF.
Yeah, and yes, yeah.
And so we get that money, and that's the 900,000 you see budgeted. And how the fund works is after, the way this fund was designed, after all the money, all the essential services are paid, there is money left over. The law states that that money then needs to be distributed to those that already receive this money. And because the way the formula works, that fund has been overfunded for most of its life. And there's about $190 million last year that was funded. I just looked it up the other night. And so it's literally called an overpayment. In my world, if the government says it's an overpayment, that's a likely thing that they could take away. Because the government doesn't like overpaying anything. But it is not guaranteed, and that's why we have never, ever budgeted for that money. And the library also receives LCSA money, and there's, their projections for their building are based on some of that, and that's a concern to me.
Right.
So that's why we don't budget for it, because the way Lansing's working right now, personal property tax legislation, this could be up for grabs. And then 1, 2, 3 years down the line, it disappears.
Yeah. So next.
Am I stating that kind of?
Yeah, that's exactly. So when I get the money, hopefully this month, in couple of weeks, then I will do the budget amendment for this year, my last budget amendment for the year after getting the money. That's I do.
Yep, but it's a nice.
So our
source of
starting
money.
number on this might bump up by the time we vote on it.
Yes, yes. I'm hoping that, I mean, when we put that budget amendment for 500,000.
That-
around that.
That wouldn't be for
That
the
would be for
fiscal
this year,
year
would
that
not-
we're working on.
Your budget
Talking
right
about the
there.
current fiscal year that we're in, we'll have the
Right.
budget amendment in June.
What I'm
before we
saying is,
close out.
if we get that second payment,
Yep.
our starting point is gonna be different than what we're voting on or agreeing.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it
Yeah.
could look a lot
Yep,
better.
Half to million.
I mean, it could look a lot better than where it is now, but I know for budgeting's sake, we gotta
But
pretend it's not
you're
there.
right, it will change.
The fund
Because we did
balance.
not budget that one, fund balance will change. It will change our 25% unrestricted fund, it change amount.
It would add to our fund balance.
Right.
Yes, yes,
That's general fund money, the second payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
Uh,
The part of, but this, yes. It
Some
will go
goes
to
to
rubbish,
rubbish.
it will go to library, but part of.
Some goes to rubbish, and we've used that money to buy garbage cans and a leaf blower, or a leaf blower, the leaf machine, and so we have used it for a couple of capital improvements.
Yeah, but big part come to here.
What? Yes, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it goes to, any millage we levy is part of this equation.
Right, and big millage is from the city, right? So it will go here, rubbish, we have little, so it will go there, so part of, but main will come.
Rubbish gets about 100,000 a year in overpayment if they happen, so, okay. Any questions about this? So we have a consensus and an objection, and I respect Councilmember Perry's statement on that. All right, so you're good on that for now? Next,
The next thing we have to discuss is the non-union wage data.
okay.
So I have several items for discussion regarding this. First of all, I just want to remind everyone that we provided the non-union wage data summary and all the supporting information for these market adjustment for positions. I did include one budget correction that I will be making for full-time and part-time for senior activity center budget. So you will see that in the council budget at the 14th meeting. I've also provided you a replacement worksheet for the binder for the Public Works Supervisor with that salary requested at 90,000. And then I have provided you a worksheet showing these positions and the current and proposed total and the percent increase. Another item that we would want to discuss would be some of the new positions and what your stance is on that. So I guess, first of all, if you just want to talk about the proposed market adjustments for the.
Actually, can we talk about the staffing first? I would
Sure.
prefer.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Yeah, that's fine.
The proposed new positions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I thought consensus last time, when we were talking about the assistant finance director, the recreation clerk, and the code enforcer, I thought we were all in agreement on those three positions, were we not?
I am.
Yeah, I am too.
Mr. Perry?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with those.
Okay, great.
You said code, finance clerk?
And recreation.
Yeah, and recreation, those three.
Okay.
And then I believe we were all in concurrence with the vacancy or the seasonal for DPW, and then the general new for seasonal. If memory serves, that, I know we had all discussed this.
For DPW.
For DPW. Yeah, seasonal part-time for both of them, for the two positions.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So for lawn, park maintenance, general,
Because the seasonal, there are no benefits, it's a straight hourly
Right,
amount, right? So,
$20 an hour.
yep.
So is everybody who's here in concurrence with those positions as well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I know for our public safety, we know that's just the one position is just pending contract negotiations finishing up. We had already all agreed on the fire marshal, correct? So that again is just waiting for contract negotiations to finish up, so I think those two are check and check. For IT, aren't we just replacing our IT? Isn't that, like, wasn't the person, didn't they?
For communication.
Communications.
Yeah, communications, it says
Under
IT.
IT.
It's under IT, sorry. My bad.
No, you're right. You're
Well-
right on.
Yeah, but we were just replacing the person we had. So it's not really a new position. Okay, so we can check that one off. So that leaves us with our, at least on the first page here, our DPW building maintenance person, and then general laborer. Say that 3 times fast. I'm actually not object to either one of those positions, because I do know that DPW, honestly, you guys have been doing a great job. I mean, I brought those 2 things to Elaine's attention, and I know she let you guys know about the fence that was literally falling down at the entrance to Somerset. Although the neighbors are really feeling weird about that fence not being there, that's been there for 30 years. And then I know you guys did some patching on Northwood, because I felt like I was on a merry-go-ride. That was not a pleasant ride going down that street. So I know you guys have been really, doing a really good job with that. So I know we were short workers before, so I'm not object to those 2 positions either. I know it adds to the balance, but I also know our citizens deserve things being done in a timely fashion and done correctly.
Well, especially if we're doing the baseball diamond too. I mean, you're gonna need extra work. I mean, yes, we can do seasonal, but it'll definitely help to have extra hands just in general for that too. If we're going to do more tasks in-house, it'd be good to have more in-house people to rely on.
And in the past, parks haven't always, talking before you guys, they haven't always been kept up as nice, the grass guy, lower, I want them to look nice. I mean, we pay high taxes, we have our parks in different departments, and they need to have the city look nice, and, because we have a lot of volunteers in the city, I do gardens and stuff like that, and upkeep city property. Really, it should be our job as a city to do that, and, we need to step that up, and if we can get you some temporary help or seasonal help to do that, I'm all in favor.
Well, but the 2 other positions were not seasonal.
Those
I'm sorry.
Those are general.
are permanent, yeah.
It's not like we don't have enough work to go around, right? So,
Well, one of those I think is just backfilling, is it not, Joe? The laborer, that one's just backfilling. So again, that one shouldn't even be looking as like it's a new position, because it's not. So if I understand correctly, the one position that you guys are looking to add is like somebody under you, like a supervisor, correct? Oh, okay. So building maintenance, who's that person then? Or is that a backfill as well? Okay, yeah, so those probably shouldn't be on there, like, that look new when they're like being backfilled. Because we already have a standing order, do we not, that if it's a position that's been vacant, it's not a new position, that they automatically can just go ahead and fill it? Or is it still that we want it brought to council? Mr. Lessig?
I think we agreed that backfilling existing positions that are budgeted. Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me, backfilling existing budget positions was,
The entry level
yeah.
Yeah.
positions is
Yes.
what we discussed.
does that give you direction on?
Nope, I think we're good with that, so I guess it really now just comes down to discussion about the non-union wages.
Well, we don't have 2 members here tonight, who I both believe would have something to say about this, so. And I did speak with Councilmember Baranski earlier, and she wished she could be here for this conversation, so. I won't be able to make any commitments to anything tonight, but I can commit to letting you know in the next few days. And I'd like to talk with other council people about this, because there are some, there's some adjustments on here, and some are substantial, and And I think we need to have a reasonable conversation.
Yeah, but I would like to make just one reasonable
Please.
recommendation in general, and then we can go from there. I do believe that at least a 3% across the board would be appropriate as just a cost of living and just in general. I mean,
At the very least, 100%.
yes, that's, I'm saying at a very bare minimum, you know, that 3% for sure. I feel like that at least is the jumping off point. I just feel that's beyond reasonable as far as, like I said, cost of living, gas, for God's sake. I don't know if anybody else is having a heart attack when they go to the pump, but I have been. So I would like to at least hope that the council as a whole would at least be okay with that 3%
I got a question. So,
to start.
the budget that we have gotten, the most recent for tonight's meeting, are the numbers that you're proposing plugged into it as it is right now?
Yes.
Okay. And that did not include a cost of living increase from the prior year?
So
Yes,
the
so I
number that
mean-
is in there is all inclusive, so it is just this number, period.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is like every year, usually in your budget, you have a cost of living increase of some amount generally.
We don't parse it out as a cost of living.
Right, but like a 2% or 3%, some that usually reflect.
This isn't
union-
plus 7%. This isn't 3%, or cost of
7%.
living
Yeah,
plus
it's not 3
7%.
plus 3.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the,
just 3,
is that the question you're asking?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so,
It's not
Just the
compounded,
number that you see, period.
Okay.
all right.
not compounded, yeah.
That is
So-
the absolute maximum.
So at least, can we have a consensus that is a jumping off point of 3?
I'm comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with
Yeah,
at least
at
a
the very
3%.
least.
I think a few might need some adjustments beyond
Right,
that.
that's what I'm saying, jumping off point.
But as far as everybody should, that's not in the contract. I would say with 3% would be very reasonable, given,
Well, especially since we give, well,
but also just for those that are involved, realize our revenues are only increasing 2.7%. So, you know, that's one thing we got to look. It's got to go in, it's got to be a balancing act, but we understand, or I understand, you know,
well, we,
that people need to be paid what they're worth and in the norms. We don't want to lowball anybody. We don't want to lose anybody. But I think 3% is a good starting point, and because a lot of these are 3% that are proposed. I think we
also
just-
because I'm just also thinking union, you know, the union workers are always getting a specific amount as well. And even though I know they're non-union, you know, and I'm not saying that anybody doesn't deserve what you're making, because I don't think that at all. But I'm just saying, like, is in comparison to our officers and stuff like that too, you know, and just the raises that we have to put into the contracts, it should be reciprocated to all personnel at a bare minimum. Mr. Perry?
No, I don't agree with that. 3 is my top, other than I think 2 exceptions.
Well, I said a jumping off point.
No, I realize that. You
Oh,
guys
okay.
asked me where I was, I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, I was
three's
just asking
my-
for consensus on the 3 jumping off point. I'm not saying to raise them.
Not all at 3, no.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get out of you. Okay.
So what are you thinking as far as?
2.5 to 3 for most, and then the only discrepancies, if we're gonna go by this book, this is accurate, because I know we were updated with
one
a couple
change.
pages that were bad. The only 2 that I would vote for increasing over the 3% or the 2.5% were the building department manager and bear with me, the recreation coordinator. Because if I'm going by these documents, these 2 employees were the only ones that were under the range you guys had. I don't want to say the average range, but they were both well under the range. So bringing them to the proposed or the recommended increases brings them within the range. So that's where I am.
So you're saying 2.5 to 3, so you're not
For,
100% opposed to 3 on
well, three, like you guys mentioned, 2.7 was the rate of inflation. This isn't personal, so any city employee, don't take offense to what I'm saying. It's just money. We don't have infinite money. And some of these seem pretty large, pretty big increases. You guys can, they might be warranted or not, I don't know. I just know I don't think we have that kind of money to throw around over the rate of inflation, or 3%. If you guys want to stick to 3 just because it's even, sure.
I mean, I agree with you guys, and I think it should be at least 3%, because the issue we're gonna have here is where you can say, well, we don't have infinite money, well, you also want consistent employees. And if you're not gonna pay people a marketable wage, not to say that not necessarily some of these 3% aren't in there, but, it's an important balancing act to ensure that not only, you're paying a fair wage, we're obviously not spending an arm and a leg, but also that, people are going to stay and be happy, because we have a history of turnover in this city, and if we want to have success in this city and have successful financials and all those things, then you need to have successful, intelligent people that want to stay. And it's not going to happen if we nickel and dime over 0.5%. I'm just letting you know, or 0.05%. So, and I'm saying my part.
I'm not stopping you. Just saying, I disagree. But that's fine.
Like I said, I think the 3% is the right range for a baseline, and I would like to think about this some more, talk to Councilmember Higgins and Councilmember Baranski, because they will both have they will have strong opinions, and I promise to do that adaptive and constructive work in the next few days. And as all budgets, they always come down to the last minute, and there's tweaks and adjustments at that last, every meeting I've been to has had adjustment at the last minute. I recognize that people are, as I always say, people work for money. You can't spend gratitude, but we are grateful that you work here, and I do appreciate that we are not the only municipality in town. And so I want to keep good people here, and you will have my utmost, I've been thinking about this a lot, but I do want to have some conversations. Had a great one with Councilmember Baranski this afternoon, and I said, I want to talk to you about this, and she said, absolutely, so we're going to be having that conversation in the next couple days. And I'm also aware of how other communities are doing, and that every community is different. Every job is different, and so I take that into account. You'll have I promise my due diligence about that. But I'm not prepared tonight to say this one and this one and this one and this one.
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I just wanted a base.
I just wanted you to know where I stood.
No, I appreciate it. Just wanted a baseline
And I'm going to talk to
Yeah,
Councilman
I spoke with
Fletcher
Ms.
and you and
earlier today.
Kenny.
So when-
I keep calling.
No,
him.
please call me
Apologize.
Kenny. You don't have to call me.
No, you just,
Doesn't feel right when you say Councilmember Perry.
sorry. Hey, my mother called me mayor, and I said, what?
Cut that out.
So
All right, so,
that's where I'm at. Anybody else want to add in anything on that at the moment?
so where do you need us, I mean, ideally, you would like to wrap this up next council meeting? Is that as far as the,
Yeah,
So
I don't want to have
the next
2 or 3
steps,
extra meetings.
I will work based on the feedback that I got here on putting together a council draft 1 for the May 14th meeting. That will have the changes that we've talked about. Got the draft packet out already, so I should be able to, in the next couple of days, rework that budget and change the numbers. As far as the wages, I will just keep it in as what it is now, because it is a pretty complex thing. Just knowing that working with these spreadsheets, should they get adjusted, we'll know approximately what number that is that it would change. You know, we're not talking about a $4 million project here, so it's a little bit easier to deal from that perspective of looking at the budget, that it's not gonna make a huge impact like the storm sewers. So thank you for working through that conversation. That was very helpful. And other than that, is there anything else that anyone would like to see added to the budget or anything else that you want to discuss within the budget?
I actually do, but it's more, I agree with Ms. Baranski, she and I were speaking about it. Just with regards to the ambulance fund, because our residents are already paying to have the ambulances, and I know we're getting our new one and everything like that. So our residents that live in Fraser, I agree that they should not have to pay if they, well, she suggested 3, I say 2 runs, and God bless you all, I hope you don't need any of those runs, but I don't think that, and and that, again, this is Ms. Bransky's idea, but I agree with her, that our residents shouldn't have to pay for something they're already paying for. They're paying for the ambulances, so we shouldn't be charging them.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about it briefly in the past, but I do want to bring that up. I know she's gonna, like I said, we spoke about it today, and I 100% agree with her that at least 2 times you shouldn't have to pay for the ambulance run. That's not saying if you like need somebody just to drive you to the hospital, because I know we have those kind of runs. I'm talking about emergency runs. They're paying for it already in their taxes.
2 times how often? Like
A year.
A year.
Yeah, a year, yeah, 2 a year. You know, hopefully, and like I said, hopefully you don't need any, knock on wood, for all of the residents.
So I guess the question there would be, since we bill insurance companies for these runs, how that would interplay with not charging residents for.
Well, then what I would say,
I'd want to know what the financial impact.
right, that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Yeah.
You someone that works in the medical field, I'd imagine what you would do is you would still charge their insurance because it still would be a medical thing, but then you'd like end up waiving their copay, if you
Yes.
will, or whatever
Exactly.
payment they pay on the run.
So there'd be no money out of pocket for our residents because they're already paying.
In theory, don't quote me.
No,
I do not do ambulances.
I understand.
That's the thought process, where our residents wouldn't have any out-of-pocket expense.
To reduce out-of-pocket expenses for residents,
Ambulance
for
runs.
services we provide through a millage.
Correct.
Interesting.
I don't know that we necessarily have time to go through that level of the revenues and see what portion of it's resident versus non-resident and if.
Not in the next 10 days.
Yeah.
No, but it's an
Next 3,
interesting
really.
exercise. Something we can talk about and direct, and not start it tomorrow, but something we can put on the list of.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth looking into, because again, why are we going to tax our residents twice, basically, or make them pay for something twice? So, I agree with her on that.
I got a couple other housekeeping items. Was there a rent, did I see a rent increase for the senior apartments?
Yeah, it was
as
$40.
part of this budget?
Yes.
Okay, and how much is that?
40.
Okay, that's 40 for both, or 40 for each, or 40 for one?
40 per unit.
Okay. And then the second thing is the fee schedule. When will that be adopted? When would that be presented and
That'll
adopted?
be at the May 14th meeting.
Okay, have we seen the fee schedule?
Not yet.
Okay, can we get a copy of the fee schedule?
It'll be with our packet, I would think.
Well, there was, in case that I see a fee that I think we need to look at, and I just want to make sure that we.
The majority of the fees are pretty much just building department.
The zoning meeting fee is outrageous. We talked about it before. I'm just saying.
I actually remember that meeting. It was before I was on council.
And we have eliminated some of those through the fence ordinance
Yes.
updates, so that was good.
A little bit.
All right,
Was there, I got a question.
yes.
Was there anything taken out of the budget since our last budget workshop, or is everything? So like software for recreation, that's still in there, and that,
Yeah, everything's.
okay, because that's something I definitely want to have in.
Well, I know Mr. Lessig had suggested, and I agree with him, if they want the side-by-side for DPS, coming out of the drug forfeiture, was it drug forfeiture?
Gambling.
Gambling, there you go.
I don't know, whichever one that is legal to take it out.
I mean, I'm not object to them having it, but if we cannot take it out of the general fund and still get them that, because I do feel that would be very helpful in a lot of situations.
So it is not in this current recommended budget. Is that something that you would like to see added in and charged to gambling?
I would support that if it's taken out of one of the forfeiture funds.
Yeah.
Didn't Sam, Sam, didn't you
She did
propose
present it.
to not get that second motorcycle and you'd rather have the UTV or the ATV? So I'm for that too. I think we should have the UTV.
Yeah, we do have 2 motorcycles now, and they're both close to 20 years old, so I was proposing that we replace one of them. And the separate conversation was the UTV, and we can use it gambling.
So if we could use gambling for the UTV and then general fund for the motorcycle,
Yes.
okay, would that,
Yeah.
I think that's a
How
compromise.
much was that approximately? Was it?
Which one?
Wasn't it like 35?
The UTV, was it like 30? I want to say it was
I
around
had
30.
run the numbers
Right.
for it last year.
Well, it said 25, but I
No, but that's before the detail, or the detailing and the sticker.
Without it being
Yeah.
outfitted.
Well, it was 25, but that's what,
25 to 30, so
25 to 30.
probably
Yeah,
30
roughly
would cover it if we budgeted.
I would
With
hope
detail.
so, yes.
Okay.
can we put a sticker on it that says paid with drug forfeiture or gambling?
To deter
I'm
gambling.
serious, not
and
paid with
drugs,
taxpayer
yeah.
dollars, yeah.
Can we budget in $5 for a sticker?
I'll make it on my Cricut. All right, anything else, folks? All right, now we have citizen participation, but I see no citizens. Is there any member of the audience? Well, Mr. Logan's a citizen, so would you like to speak? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:38 PM.
Second.
A motion by Mayor Lessig, seconded by Councilmember Fletcher to adjourn at 8:38 PM. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.